Hi there, students. To come to your senses. Someone comes to their senses. Well, firstly, this can be used literally, meaning to become conscious. So the boxer was knocked out and they used smelling salts to bring him to his senses. He soon came to his senses with the smelling salts. Or a loud bang woke me up in the middle of the night, and it took me a minute to come to my senses, to be fully awake and to know what was going on. But we use this idea of to come to your senses metaphorically, meaning to start thinking again reasonably. To return to thinking or behaving in a sensible way. This has the idea of using your normal mental faculties. He fell in love with this girl, and it's taken him a year to come back to his senses, to start thinking about life in a more realistic way. Okay, you could bring someone to their senses. You help them start to see things in a normal way, to begin to use good judgment. So let's see, young people, they want to have fun and a good time, and maybe they don't want to work, but finally they come to their senses and find a job. He had refused to marry her for months, but finally he came to his senses and asked her to marry him. He'd had this plan to give up his job and become a travelling actor. But finally, he's come to his senses. He's begun to think in a sensible, logical way. He's beginning to use good judgment. He's become reasonable after acting foolishly. Okay, so he's recovering his senses. I wish he'd come to his senses and stop playing around. He's married to a beautiful, intelligent woman, so why he's always having affairs with other women, I can't understand. Probably one day he'll leave her, and that's when he'll come to his senses. Okay, so somebody has come to their senses, or they've been brought to their senses. They begin acting reasonably after acting foolishly. So we are slowly but surely heating up our environment, and global warming is a reality. But when are we really going to come to our senses and take serious action about it? They were waiting for me to come to my senses and realize that I was wrong. Okay, yes, you can use it to mean to become conscious, but we're using this metaphorically to become realistic. So when people want to sell something, they want to sell their house or sell their car, normally the first thing they do is they say, well, I want this massive price that they're never going to sell it for. And if they're going to sell it, they need to come to their senses and to ask a reasonable price. I think it's one of the parts of the job of an estate agent or a realtor is to bring people to their senses and to ask a reasonable price for their houses. When are you going to come to your senses and realize that they have been lying to you? Yeah, you need to open your eyes and smell the coffee, because this is the reality of the situation. I'm glad she finally came to her senses and decided to celebrate a normal, reasonable wedding instead of these wild ideas that she had at the beginning. Okay, so is to come to your senses, to realize what is reasonable, particularly after having behaved unreasonably or irresponsibly for quite a while. Okay, and this is the idea of to come to your senses, to bring someone to their senses. Formality, come to your senses. For informality, use it informally, use it in a semi-formal conversation, semi-formal writing, but not something very formal. So to come to your senses, to bring someone to their senses.